There are things in Fortnite that can't be a coincidence. I'm sorry, it's true. And because this has happened so many times, I'll show you just how weird things really are. For example, there's an item that most of us forgot about. The creeping cardboard was only available for one season, but boot up Metal Gear Solid and dots start connecting. This game is iconic for letting you hide in boxes to surprise your enemies, which makes a ton of sense now that I think about it. Well, that was a pretty obvious inspiration. There's an item that could have gotten Fortnite in a ton of trouble. Last year we got the Dragon Rider, and most people loved it, except others were quick to point out that this looked familiar. But comparing it to Giratina from Pokemon, I mean, you could totally see it. The same goes for the Zigray Glider. This may look like a regular Stingray, but players are saying it reminds them of Dragapult, and I can honestly see that. We also didn't expect something like the Shockwave Hammer to be taken from another game. I mean, this is one of Fortnite's most unique items, but they're a little late to the party because someone else did it decades ago, Halo. Their franchise has the Grav Hammer with a similar shockwave effect, leaping attack, and animations. The only thing you can't do with it is fly around, so Fortnite earns extra points for that. There's also a pretty funny coincidence that's happened thanks to KSI and Logan Paul. All the way back in Chapter 2, Epic released the Icy Pop Wrap, and years later, it became an iconic Prime flavor. They look exactly the same, but that's a good thing because now you can technically rep Prime on your Fortnite guns. And whatever your thoughts are on the Chrome season, there's one thing we all agree on: it was very familiar. Immediately when Chrome was on the map, people rushed to compare it to Splatoon. Although I will say in that game you aren't diving into silver goo, it's paint. Well, things got even more inspired because after a couple weeks, Epic dropped an explosive goo gun, and they really aren't subtle with the inspiration. Another item that a lot of players called out is the Baller. When this was released, everyone knew it was based on a hamster ball, but deep down we'd also see Jurassic World. In the movie, the kids get in a gyrosphere and explore the world, but if you watch this in 2023, you probably go, I mean, they're pretty much in a baller. Even sites like Eurogamer pointed out the similarities, but at least Epic put their own twist on it by adding grapplers. Everything so far has just been a cool inspiration or a similar idea, but Fortnite and Valorant have basically been at war with each other lately. They take features constantly, whether it's Valorant adding Totally Not Midas to the game or Fortnite's version of Phoenix. It went from skins to whole items very quickly with the release of the Falcon drone. Valorant has had a similar ability for years with Sova's Owl drone. They're both birds that launch from your arms, scan the area, and of course, reveal other players. Another competitor is Warzone, but with rumors that Fortnite is collabing with Call of Duty in November, I mean, they're clearly on good terms. Well, it doesn't mean they haven't copied each other over the years. Thanks to the success of Warzone's cash system, they added their own currency, gold, on top of bounties, and don't even get me started on the gingerbread skin. Some of Fortnite's best LTMs are also based on classic COD modes like Gun Game, Bare Bones, and even Midas's Revenge. So hopefully we get that crossover, but we're also praying for One Piece to do a collab, and in fact, there's an item in game that could be teasing it. This is the Whale Sailor, and on his head, you could find an X symbol. It turns out there's a whale in the show with the same crosses on their head, and some players have also compared it to the X on Luffy's chest. Whether this is a teaser, a stolen cosmetic, or just a coincidence, we'll have to wait to find out. Now, before Fortnite turned into this massive franchise that collabs with everyone, they had to make parodies like the fake John Wick or Wonder Woman, and that brings us to Rogue Agent. When he released, we all called him a Wish.com version of Master Chief. I mean, they're totally different colors, but you could see it in the helmet. Now, of course, this problem disappeared when we got the real Master Chief in game. Yet sometimes, it's not items that get stolen. It turns out Fortnite's storyline has some very suspicious characters. People have started to notice things like the Pyramid, the Cube Queen. Basically, the whole end event is similar to Gravity Falls. Now, at first it was pretty funny. I mean, yeah, it does look like the show, but then we moved on from that event and into Chapter 4 with a brand new storyline. This involved the Rift Gate, which destabilized, created a rift in the sky, and summoned demons instead, and that's also Gravity Falls. Now, like I said, it's probably just a coincidence, but despite that, and now I'm going to show you the Webster and Meg outfits. You might remember these or not, but one thing's for sure, they totally look inspired by FNAF. I mean, especially Meg, she looks very similar to Chica from the games. If you design an evil animatronic animal, people are going to call it FNAF. But this is more than that, they're even rusted away and half broken. And it's still not as compelling as the Guardian Shield. When this released, everyone immediately knew where Fortnite got it from. One of Overwatch's most useful abilities is Reinhardt's shield. He can walk around with it, protect his whole team, it's great. Obviously, Epic wanted in on this action, especially for zero builds, so they gave us the Guardian Shield, which you could also place down. I mean, even Reinhardt can't do that. Not the only item to be obviously inspired. The Grabatron is one of the best weapons we have ever had in Fortnite. People love this thing, and there's a reason we have a history of using it. The Grabatron's origins come from a classic item, Half-Life's gravity gun. They work in the exact same way, letting you pick up items and either move them or launch them across the map. Not to mention mentioned that Epic dropped this in an alien-themed season, which is kinda Half-Life's whole thing. You gotta respect the references. Speaking of aliens, does anyone remember when people tried to storm Area 51 in 2019? It was such a random trend, and yet it blew up, so even Fortnite had to capitalize on it. Everyone claimed they would storm the gates of Area 51 and Naruto run through the barrier. It was scheduled for September 20th, but the only thing that actually happened on that day was an item shop update. This brought us an alien skin and, of course, the full tilt emote, aka the Naruto run. They had stolen the run without asking for permission, and you can tell it wasn't official because when Naruto actually came to the game, the emote was nowhere to be found. Some people believe Fortnite also added Subway surfers back in Chapter 1. Abstract was part of Season 4, and nowadays he's accepted as just a guy who likes to spray paint, but you can't deny the similarities. Back to Nintendo, Fortnite really needs to be careful with how much inspiration they take. In Chapter 2, it feels like a whole season was based on Zelda. It was totally different to anything they had done before. Wildlife, bows, a tower in the middle, crafting, even special chests. And all of this was pretty close to Breath of the Wild. From the feel of the map to Battle Pass skins like Tyranno who wore similar outfits to Link, and they kept this inspiration going years later when Chapter 4 gave us Kinetic Ore. You can hit it as many times as you want to send it flying, which is super close to Breath of the Wild Stasis. I mean, the description of that ability even says it stores kinetic energy. But sometimes Epic gets ripped off. They aren't always the one taking inspiration. If I covered everything people had stolen from Fortnite, this video would be way longer. But there's one thing we gotta mention, the PUBG award snub. A year after Ariana Grande's live event, PUBG announced a concert of their own, featuring Blackpink. The only problem was it looked insanely close to the Rift Tour. You could easily shrug it off as a coincidence, but even if it is, it makes the next part super unfair. At the VMAs, Fortnite and PUBG were nominated for Best Metaverse Performance. Of course, this category is voted for by fans, and with Blackpink's dedicated audience, they won the award with 320 million votes. And that's despite the fact that Fortnite did it better than them a whole year before. Another crazy story revolves around the Rock skin, and this randomly dropped in Chapter 1, and immediately people noticed how she was a doppelganger of Loser Fruit. Their faces were so similar, and Rox even had a strawberry logo on her shirt, just like Loser Fruit does. By now, it's pretty obvious that Fortnite wanted to bring her to the game, but the Icon series didn't exist yet, so they dropped this instead. When ironically, Rox kinda looks more like Loser Fruit than her actual skin. Now, there is an item we never really considered as stolen, the Bandage Bazooka. When Fortnite added this, it was so unique and different to what we had before. I mean, no one even questioned it. Well, as time passed, players started noticing how it was probably inspired by a weapon from Team Fortress 2. If you play as a medic, you get the Medi Gun, and it's basically the exact same thing as a Bandage Bazooka. You hold it the same way, it has a similar design, the only difference, one shoots meds, the other has a steady beam of healing. But what no one expected involves Fortnite's biggest mystery, which we've been trying to crack for years. The runes that have appeared all over cubes, weapons, and cosmetics seem to have a meaning, right? Well, that's until you realize they're not even original. Epic copied themselves. One of their oldest series is Infinity Blade, and the story involved these runes, which are now also part of Fortnite's storyline. But yeah, of course, they had to bring the actual blade to the game too. Something Fortnite can't deny is how much they copied Apex Legends. In 2019, Epic was on top of the world, and EA rushed to compete with them. The release of Apex caused tons of people to call it a Fortnite killer, and you could tell the devs were scared because they did some crazy stuff. Season 8 was dropping around the same time, so they pulled the desperate move giving away the Battle Pass to everyone for free. Then when Apex dropped, Epic analyzed it for any features, constantly took inspiration, and it's still happening. For years they only had solos, duos, and squads, but suspiciously around this time they both decided to release trios. While Fortnite got away with most of the items on this list, they've had their fair share of getting sued, and it's all for one thing, emotes. As the game got bigger and bigger, some celebrities realized they wanted a share of this money. So one by one, dozens of people filed lawsuits against Epic, claiming they stole their dance. From the default dance to the tidy emote and rambunctious, even the floss at one point despite the kid giving them permission. Regardless, all of these lawsuits failed for the same reason you can't legally copyright a dance move. I mean, talk about an ouch. Those are all the things Fortnite took inspiration from. Once again, I'm very sick right now, but I could not leave you guys hanging without an upload. It's been Tommy, hope you enjoyed, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.